Hey, baby, we're going to be here all day.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is.
This is Spittin' Facts with Zack
and Kyle.
I will not tolerate players that think it's about them when it's about the team. To all the non-believers,
the sports podcast about the important issues in New York and national sports.
We are not a charity. We cannot give them the game. And still.
Just facts.
So get your facts straight.
Now, here's Zack.
Can't wait.
This is Zack, back again with my friend Kyle, and to quote Mike Greenberg, we are back and better than ever. After our loyal listeners probably noticed we didn't record last week, that's because we were in a transition period, and now we are recording in a new studio.
It's so sick.
It's so much better.
So much better.
We will not be having to make...
Hopefully the quality is better.
Yeah, and we won't be having to make any pauses for people coming in and out, screaming behind us, closing the door, opening the door.
Talking about last night's debate.
Talking about the debate, playing guitar. We have our own studio in our own town, so we don't have to...
Shout out to the Westport Public Library for hooking us up.
So we are truly back and better than ever.
So what do we got on the agenda this week?
So after missing last week, luckily, we're in kind of the dog days of sports right now.
We're in the twilight hours.
Late February, March, so it's not like we missed an entire week of football.
Dude, this is so cool in this new studio. I just had to cut you off. I'm like looking at
it's awesome.
Sick. I'm like looking across you now. It's like, hey man,
looking at each other.
This is sick. This is so sweet.
I don't feel pressure by outside forces.
Oh no, this is great. I just like we can just do our own thing.
Yeah,
sick.
Literally just
so
do our
sick.
own thing.
All right.
And if you started screaming, it probably wouldn't even be a big deal because I think these rooms are actually soundproof.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
The windows are thick.
This is awesome.
That's thick.
Yeah, okay. Regardless, what's on the agenda?
Yeah, what are we talking about today?
Definitely going to lead with this NFL CBA talk.
Pretty cool.
I got a lot to talk about with that. A lot of the MLB stuff has died down for now over the past 2 weeks, but there's definitely still stuff to get into. Yankees have the Mets injury bug, or the Red
Did
Sox.
you just say the Mets injury bug?
People always talking about the Mets, just like classic Mets getting injured.
Yeah, but I feel like this is the one time where that's not happening yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like the
Mets.
Yankees have like like if this was happening to the Mets, people would be like, "That shit's fucking hilarious." Like
because it's nothing new.
Yeah. But just like now the Yankees are actually
right.
But they'll
I
probably
feel like the Yankees were pretty beat up last year too.
They were literally statistically the most beat up team in the history of baseball.
Yeah, they were
they
like
39 separate IL stints for 30 separate players.
They caught the crosstown bug
more so than any team ever. So we'll talk about that. I haven't talked about any NBA so far, so we're gonna get into a little contender pretender. In the
now that the All-Star break is over, basketball games are starting to actually.
And it is
matter.
basketball season right now. And
March Madness is 2.5 weeks away.
Yep, and of course, what grinds our gears and whatever else we feel like talking about. So why don't we just start with this NFL CBA?
Yeah, I feel like you have a lot to say on this, so I kind of want to hear your thoughts. I just have some pretty obvious stuff I want to say, and a few things, but you definitely probably have some interesting takes.
So most recently, the NFL player reps voted to send the CBA to a full union vote, and right before we started, DeMaurice Smith said that he expects that the players will accept the vote.
Yeah, he said it should be passing shortly. He's confident it's going to pass soon.
Okay. Just some highlights of what the CBA is. The biggest thing that obviously the players care about is the increased revenue share. It's about having
more money in their pockets.
Yeah, and having it be increased from like 47 to 48.5%.
Regardless, the players want more money.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to get into why it's so absurd and ridiculous in a minute.
For the players to want more money?
No.
Okay.
No. The whole
thing?
Like, I'll get into
I want to
it.
hear your takes. I got some. Yeah, here we go.
There'll be one franchise tag moving forward. This actually do like 2 extra roster spots for each team.
I'm all about that.
It would be a 55-man roster.
I'm all about that because there's so many times where it's just like, holy shit, some really important guy in my team is now hurt.
Would have been nice if the Eagles had 2 extra guys on their roster last year, and then all those practice squad guys that they had playing. Think about how many practice squad guys that the Eagles had.
You don't have to remind me. There were so many points throughout the season where I'm looking at guys catching the ball, and I'm like, who are you?
Like diehard Eagle fans, like, who are you?
Yeah, who are you? Who are you? Like
I don't blame you at all.
The fact that Greg Ward became a household name is not good.
Yeah. So really, the main part of this deal is it's all about the minimum wage players. I think about around 60% of players in the NFL make at or around minimum wage.
They're on like veteran minimum.
or no, like rookie minimum.
Rookie minimum.
Or just like,
or their rookie
most people don't
contract?
get a second contract.
Okay, so most,
I'm just,
right.
In general, I'm just saying around 60% of people making close to league minimum.
Okay.
That's really what the deal's about, because this could get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more dollars into the minimum players' pockets. But it's funny because all we hear about are the people that are set for life anyway, or like J.J. Watt and Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers shouting down no for the deal, when it's probably the players that have no voice that are like, I'm kind of down for this deal.
Yeah, I'm pumped you said that, because it's pretty interesting to see how some players are pumped for the deal for obviously monetary reasons now in the short term, how this is going to affect how contracts get structured in the future. That's why like Dak totally wants like this to pass as soon as possible, for example, so he can just get a way sicker contract. And what you were just saying as well is such a great point, how the guys on the bottom near the minimum are all secretly like, yo, let's kind of like get
it's going
this
to increase their salary.
Right, because what the guys who are arguing no for, these so-called superstar guys are saying,
So-called superstars.
okay, yeah. So what some of them are arguing for, why they're saying no is because they're arguing for they want better health benefits in the long run, right? Because
Aaron Rodgers was like,
right.
my working facility is not good.
So they don't necessarily want more money. They want to make sure that when they're not playing football, they're compensated, which is
That too.
valid. That's equal. But a lot of these guys, like you said, who aren't making that much money now, are just really focused on getting paid now and getting a contract now. So it's really cool.
They want to maximize their time in the league.
But I do want to say this is nothing new, and what the owners are doing is that they're still trying to fuck over the players as much as possible.
Yeah,
nothing's changed with that. That's classic ownership in sports. It's just the owners are penny pitching so hard.
The ownership proposal kind of reminds me of like when Belichick wants to make a trade with you. Where
that's
it's like,
a great
I'm
way to
going to
put
be
it.
super skeptical about this trade. Like, the owners proposed this. Like, I don't know about this.
Right.
But one of the big things too continues to be an issue is players want less padded practices, and they want to be able, and frankly, they just want to be able to burn. Like, no, that's that's.
I'm okay with that.
But
the burning is fine.
It has to be like bigger issues than that. I like the padded practices thing is what pisses me off.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Like no one. To get to the point where no one's going to practice at all except for games. And people don't realize that there's a more increased injury risk when you have less padded practices. You're going to probably get banged up more in practice, but there's going to be less severe injuries during the game.
Right.
Your body has to learn how to take a hit.
Totally.
As someone who's played football and rugby, if you just walk into a rugby field and all you've done is condition,
it's going to hurt.
You're going to get hurt.
Yeah,
they just want to practice less. That's really what it is.
It's always funny how you see the owners want less preseason games, and then you always hear some guys on like the coaching staff for some team who's like offensive line coach or assistant defensive coordinator or whatever, how they're just like, these preseason games are actually incredibly important for us as a football team. We're evaluating guys who we really want on the team, and we really need all these games.
Especially with the 2 extra roster spots.
Exactly. Now. It's like these guys need to get reps in so we can really see who's the most suitable for the team. Yep. And like we need and as well as what you just said for the injuries, we need to get these guys ready in game shape and like NFL game shape. There's a whole offseason where guys aren't playing football,
Yeah.
So it just takes time. And that's why like the games in September are just so crappy because everyone is.
Yeah, Steve Young's been saying this for years. Under these new regulations and CBA and less practices, September is the new preseason.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It sucks. It does suck.
And it's only going to get worse.
I pretty much look at football the last 2 or 3 years. If my team is 2-2, after September,
that's a win. That's what Steve Young's been saying.
Just get out 2 and 2 is a win. 2-2 is a win because then it's just real football starts and we're 500.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird. How crazy is that? That's weird. That's like next year, same thing. Like whoa.
Okay, here's my biggest thing, and we're gonna get into the schedule changes and playoff changes. It's kind of separate, but not really. But I want to get into this.
It's separate but equal.
The increased revenue share to me it's such a joke in how no one is talking about this, and I feel like I'm literally the only person in the world that sees this as an issue. Now, if you got my dad to talk about this,
would Rob be going off right now?
Because everyone a lot of people don't know because people just don't realize this. The salary cap has completely changed football. People talk about.
I mean, we hear you say it all the time. But
I'm the only one.
Let the viewers know.
I'm the only one.
Let them know. Preach, Zach.
The Cowboys.
By the way, viewers, this is Zach's classic like NFL preach. This is probably his biggest beef with football.
Yeah, it is.
Especially Rab. So
exactly.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
The Cowboys dynasty in the 90s did not collapse because of Barry Switzer and stuff like that. it collapsed because they lost their entire team because of the salary cap and free agency that got in place in a process from 92 to 94. So Jimmy Johnson built up this whole team, incredible team through the draft, and by 95, they basically lost almost everyone when they should have had the greatest dynasty of all time. They could not afford to keep the players on their team. You hear about Aikman and Smith and Irvin, and Jerry Jones, who had no idea what he was doing, just wanted to get Deion Sanders on the team. Brings in Deion Sanders for, I don't have the contract in front of me, a lot of money.
A godly amount of money.
The rest of the team then fell apart because that's what happens in the salary cap sport. But I digress. Do you realize how much money the NFL makes per year?
Billions with a B.
Especially
billions.
in comparison to the other sports. Basketball is incredibly popular. Baseball is
Not so much.
But it
makes money.
Incredible amount of revenue generation. The NFL makes so much money, but the NFL players are making so little in comparison to what they should be making because there's a salary cap. Do you realize what Aaron Rodgers would make if there was no salary cap? Do you realize what Dak Prescott would make if there was no salary cap? Do you realize what he's worth for the league and for the team? But no,
Hundreds of
everyone's talking about a
millions of dollars.
1% revenue share. But if there was no salary cap, they would be making so much more money. But as I say this, I think it's just something that the owners would just never even allow.
Consider it all. Absolutely.
There would be so much money, so much less money in their pockets. But the fact that it's not even considered an issue, it's unbelievable. And then every time it's NBA free agency and Timothy Mozgov gets a 4-year, $64 million contract, which was one of the funniest contracts ever. Bismack Biyombo cashed in an absurd
One of my
amount of
favorites
money.
is still the Tim Hardaway on the Knicks one.
That's an amazing one,
It's
too.
a great contract.
It's just like an average to below average player. He's not even that good. He's making so much more money than superstars in the NFL. And then you hear them on Twitter being like, oh my God, like crazy making NBA money. You'd be making so much more money if there was no salary cap. I love the studio, by the way. This is awesome.
This is sweet.
I feel this is so much better. This is awesome.
Let it out. Let the people know.
This is awesome. That just bothers me so much that it's not even considered to be a big deal.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that's what I was saying.
That's how they'd be making more money.
How the owners are just so greedy and they want to just give the players as
on my note
little
sheet.
as possible.
My note sheet, greed.
Yeah,
It's all about freaking greed.
It's like I love Jeffrey Lurie, but it's just like we know where his allegiance is. It's to his wallet. For most of these guys, like owning an NFL franchise is not their primary means of income. They have so many other business ventures and
it's a toy for these people.
Exactly.
That's the whole Steve Cohen with the Mets.
To,
it's like he doesn't need to buy the Mets.
Right.
Like that's just a play toy for him. That's why he's like,
that's how these guys look at
this.
this. This is just another business opportunity,
Yeah.
and that's why the Knicks will always be trash
Always
because
goes back to
Dolan
that.
doesn't. Same with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Jones has no idea.
Jerry
what the
Jones is
fuck he's
technically
doing.
he's technically the GM of the team. Do you realize how funny that is?
I do.
The fact that he was
hasn't
the one.
he been the GM of the team for like literally ever, like
Yeah.
10 years.
Well, I
50,
mean, I guess
actually like officially at least 10 years.
I mean, Jimmy Johnson orchestrated like all those big trades, but Jerry Jones was like,
Yeah, but Jimmy Johnson hasn't been there for 15, 20
so I'm
years.
basically saying since then.
Yeah.
Definitely more than 15, 20. It's,
Okay,
I mean,
that's 25,
how
30
fucking long
years.
It's been, dude.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been. 93.
That's true. I was 20. I'm 24. So
Yeah.
that's
So that salary cap is something that always bothers me, especially because go back to 2014. Who should the Cowboys keep? Des Bryant or DeMarco Murray? It's like,
why is that even an issue?
why not both?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Why not
can't you
both?
keep both?
Not a great example because the Seahawks are a very good organization and they've been able to stay competitive. But why do you think that the 2013 Seahawks were one of the greatest teams ever? Because their quarterback was playing like a Pro Bowler on a rookie contract. But once he signed the big money, now everyone else starts leaving. Legion of Boom disappears. You lose your offensive line. Everyone else starts going away. That just bothers me.
So my question to you, as
Yeah.
someone who might not know much about how this works, why is there a salary cap in the first place, Zach?
General reason
Is it
is
so that
it's
small
competitive-
market
it's
teams can-
competitive balance.
It's so that small market
They
teams
want
can compete with
parity.
big market
Yes.
teams. That's what I think.
They
right?
want parity, which in itself is a lesser quality of football because every team is very average.
Well, I think
And I think that's okay to a certain degree.
I think the main reason is because think about it. Like, how can a team in Green Bay, Wisconsin, compete with a team in New York City?
Well, they have a lot of money just from their brand. Jacksonville.
right, but like
Think of Jacksonville.
but like when was the salary cap implemented? Because like this was
93.
I don't know. Maybe things were different back in '93. Maybe they were thinking like, how can Jacksonville compete with Dallas? Like the market.
Well,
like,
Jacksonville didn't exist.
Okay, well, God,
I just shot you down.
you shot me down.
But
it's a different football time back
it
then.
is.
It's when you can actually hit someone.
You're right. Another issue besides the point. I could go on with this all day. It really has to do with competitive balance, which is again about making more money because more teams involved, more money for those franchises, more money in the owners' pockets. Granted, the top players, it's not like they're not going to be set for life anyway, but they could be making so much more if there was no salary cap.
Yeah.
Okay. I got that off my chest. Let's talk about the other part of the CBA that I think is really interesting and we can have a real good debate about. The 17-game season and the playoff expansion. So the playoff expansion, if you haven't heard, just briefly. So right now, obviously, it's 6 teams per conference. Top 2 division winners get the bye. Then the bottom 2 division winners host the 2 wildcard teams on wildcard weekend. The new one, so you got 7 teams. Only the top team gets a bye. And the number 2, 3, and 4, which is the other division winners, will host 5, 6, and 7 on wildcard weekend. So you're taking in a new wildcard team, and it's going to be another 2 more wildcard games on wildcard weekend.
So I hate everything about it, but completely understand why they're doing it.
I don't hate it as much as you would think that I would hate it.
Well, like what I'm trying to say is like if there's another football game on Saturday and another game on Sunday, I'm gonna watch it.
You're not gonna hate it at the time.
Exactly. I'm not gonna hate it at the time. I'm gonna be pumped that I'm watching more football. But at the same time, I hate that it just devalues winning the division. There's just I think
you still get the home game, but it devalues the regular season in general.
The regular season in general.
I'm
yes,
4 and 6. Like, that's fine. Just like you 4 and 6, you should be like, I gotta
scrambling.
win out.
Yeah, you gotta be like, oh my god, yeah, gotta win out.
Yeah.
Like scrambling. Like
just like the baseball thing. We're talking about devaluing the regular season. And when we talked about baseball, and I disagreed with you when you're like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now it's like, well, baseball kind of is broke.
Well, the playoffs, I don't think are broken.
And you were right about that. But for this, it ain't broke at all.
No, this is great.
Why are we changing it?
Right.
I don't understand that.
It's very frustrating.
Last year, did the Steelers deserve to be in the playoffs?
With either Mason Rudolph or
Duck
Landry
Hodges.
or
Duck Hodges.
Oh, right, Hodges.
Dude, Landry taking over Dallas Renegades right now. That's where he's at.
He's on the Renegades.
But yeah, he did play for the Steelers.
Dude, speaking of Renegades, Renegades are playing Houston this week.
We'll talk about PJ Walker, my boy PJ.
Dude, that's
Walker
the matchup.
Yeah,
Renegades.
it is.
I'm about it.
It is. PJ Walker's taking over the league.
He's sick.
But
Cardell's still balling.
He had a horrendous game last week, threw 4 picks.
He's still balling.
Whatever. Anyway, I don't hate it that much. What I have a huge problem with is the 17-game schedule. I think it's
whack. Would you have a problem with an 18-game schedule?
Yes.
Okay, so just any more games you have a problem with? Because a lot of people
17 is also it is almost worse than 18.
That's what people are saying. More people have problems with the 17-game schedule. A lot of people are saying just go to 18. So you just don't want any game.
Once
added.
again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay.
I'm big stats for 18. Big stats guy. Let's literally throw out the numbers because everything is going to be reset with an 18.
Well, that
season.
happened when they extended from
You're right.
So like
but that was a long time ago.
So we're doing it again. I don't know. Is this a new era?
But the whole. And like I said on our first episode together, in 1978 they did make the expansion from 14 to 16 games, but the game itself also completely changed with the rule changes.
So it's almost just like the game's still the same. We're just adding games.
Yeah.
So
that's what this is.
I like that point.
But here's the biggest issue of the 17 games. So as I'm reading the latest proposal, can you tell me how it would make any sense in the world to have a 17-game season where half the teams have 8 home games and 9 road games, and the other half of the teams get 9 road games and 8 home games? That is such bullshit. Imagine for us, Cowboys, Eagles, we're competing down the stretch for the division, but
happens kind of often.
But the Eagles have 1 more home game this year than the Cowboys do.
It's like we're at home against the Giants and you're on the road at Washington.
What it probably would be is
some stupid out of conference game.
It probably would be okay. So as it is now, you get your division games and then you play an entire separate division
in your
conference, and then you play the team that finished in the same division standing with you in the other 2 divisions in your conference from the previous season. So I'm thinking it would probably just be like 1 more team from
and then
one
out of
conference
division. You
No,
play
there's only one more game being added.
no, like what it is now. You also play like
Maybe
an
one out of conference. Yeah.
You do play like 2 out of conference.
You play
your
the-
division plays like the East might play the South, like
So
the
you're
AFC
saying it would
South.
be one game?
Dude, I have no idea what you fucking do.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't make sense.
I don't know what you do.
Regardless of how you would do it, having in any sport, now that I say it, but particularly football, you're having more home games than road games in professional football. But then, it's fine because next season it's flipped. That it makes no sense. And
Right, because each season is just so different
Yeah.
in like one of its own thing.
I'm gonna have an unfair advantage one season and a fair advantage the next season.
It's like, do you tank for that one year?
But also think of it's
like,
all on the table.
We got the road game. It's
Yeah.
like got the extra road game. Got a tank.
Think about this too. Let's say next year, granted, the 17-game schedule wouldn't go into place next season, but the
Well-
playoff format could go into place next season.
I think that's what that's what's being proposed right now, right?
But the CBA is going to put in the 17-game schedule, but it's just not going to take effect next season.
yeah. That's.
But the playoff format would be. Okay.
which is
But
that's so rattling.
let's say, for argument's sake, next season, the Cowboys have 8 home games and 9 road games, and the Eagles have 9, and the Eagles have vice versa.
Sure.
So if they're constantly flipping, that means every time we have 8 home games, you'll have 9 home games every time, and then vice versa.
Right. Weird.
It
Nothing makes sense.
it doesn't make any sense.
Or do you have like some weird like lottery where like maybe it's just like a free for all? It's just like,
the fact that's
why can't we just keep it with just 16 games and
it's perfect. It's so perfect as it is.
It's
I get the
strange.
playoffs. I do. I
get
don't want it.
They just want more
but
money. It's duh, but like
The
I get
17 games is ridiculous. I do like the removing of one preseason game. I know you're talking about.
it. Yeah, no, that's fine. Once
I think
once
that
okay.
3 games is enough to determine your roster.
Yeah, 3 should be fine.
That 4th one is, or the first and 4th.
It's like the Eagles
ones are
don't need to
a
play the
disgrace.
Jets every preseason.
I don't know why they do that anyway.
I mean, I'm sure don't the Cowboys also play like the same team? Who do they play?
We play the Texans.
We honestly usually play the Ravens and the Jets, and then there's one more.
we do play the Texans every year, and then like the classic like Pats Giants one.
Yeah.
That's always a thing.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Well, when you think about it, they're close teams, right? Eagles, Jets,
Yeah,
Eagles,
it's kinda-
Ravens.
it's kinda what it is. We seem to play the Vikings all the
They're
time,
just
too.
the close proximity teams. That kind of makes sense.
I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts on this? Because
No, I think we honestly nailed it. Not talking about the players. I think what football is doing for the playoffs in the regular season going forward is trash.
yeah, it kind of has to do also with it's all about short-term greed and not looking at long-term goals.
Absolutely.
It's like, we can make more money now, but I don't know if it's necessarily sustainable. And it's like, everyone wants football. Everyone wants football. But when you give them more football, it becomes less and less special.
Right,
Every time
totally.
it doesn't become as good as it used to be. I just thought about this because I had it written down. The only way that you could make a 17-game schedule somewhat okay is, and I still hate this, is if every team has a neutral site game.
That is the
But-
best idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, but
that is awesome. Dude, that's it. That's a great idea. The things you can
My
do
dad
with
actually
that-
thought about it a while ago, but as I'm reading this article, it says a cap with the new CBA, there'd be a cap on the number of international games, and there would not be a full week of such contests. So, that's the one way that you would fix it.
Fuck international games. Like every week there would be one neutral site game, correct?
I don't want
Right,
to do the
there-
math. I don't want to do the math in my head, but
Okay,
yeah, I
but-
think that's what it would be.
Right, there would have to be one neutral site game every week.
The 17 weeks, but it would be something like that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
whatever. but,
Regardless.
Think about it. You make a thing out of it. Like, how cool would that be if, like, yeah, you have the London game, but what if there's like,
Mexico
what if
City.
like the Lions playing like Ann Arbor, playing the Big House? That'd be sick. It's
not a bad
That's
thing.
what you do. You put the Rose Bowl. You like what if the Rams playing the Rose Bowl? Pasadena. Make a thing out of it. That's sick. That's so cool.
That's the only way to make it
That's
work.
how you make it sick. It's just
Yeah.
like, all right.
Still don't like it,
Because
but-
low key, when the Vikings, when their stadium collapsed on itself, like from the snow, and like they had to play at the University of Minnesota, that was sick.
That's literally how Brett Favre died.
That is so cool, though.
Do you remember that game?
I do. I remember him dying, but
yeah,
like I don't
so the
necessarily
ground
remember
was
the game.
literally
yeah, it was
frozen.
rock hard. Yeah,
That was Favre's last of the
Minnesota.
game. Devin Hester also had a return touchdown in that game.
he's dope.
It's funny, just on a little tangent. If you know who's the guy who does the really good interviews, like Graham Bessinger, in his interview with Brett Favre, and they asked him to like talk about that play and how his career ended.
Sure.
And the way that Brett Favre accounts it, like, couldn't be less of how it actually happened.
Which is
It
very
all-
funny.
because it shows like how concussed he was.
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
didn't actually Like there's film to prove that what he said
It's
happened.
like, well,
didn't
I
happen.
was rolling out left on a bootleg.
It's kind of what he was saying.
It's just like far. But like,
that's not what happened.
Yeah, right.
You just like, I just took like a normal hit and like, it's like, no, you got slammed into the turf, dude. Like you were sleeping on the field. Like everyone thought you were dead. Like anyway. But like, have the neutral site games.
You got to make it sick. Make it an event.
Still, could you still agree that even though that's an amazing idea by me, that's
a great idea.
Just keep it the way it is.
You have to keep it the way it is.
Just still keep it
like,
the way it is.
God, I hope someone from the NFL hears this and they're just like, we got to make the neutral site game sick.
But as I'm reading, I don't get why at the same time they're talking about
stick a game in Canada. Like it can be a new one every week. Like the Bills in Canada. Every team gets.
Someone actually thought about that. That's almost too much a home field. But I get what you're saying.
Right, but like you just make something out of it. Well, it almost has to be sort of a home field kind of thing for the neutral site. Maybe you find like
no, it's got to be straight up neutral site.
Okay, well fair.
It's like, no, you know what it'd be like? It's like in Madden where it's just like where are we going to play the game? And you can pick any stadium to play in.
Using baseball stadiums suck, but like game in Yankee Stadium. I don't know, just
like
stuff could be
Mets Brewers at Fenway. Like could be sick, I guess.
We're taking this concept of baseball now. Here we go.
You just brought it up.
No, I was saying like a football team playing in Yankee Stadium.
Ah, okay, I see.
Because like
that's happened before.
I know that.
They do that. What do they call it? The Liberty Bowl or something, or the
Pinstripe Bowl.
Pinstripe Bowl. Okay, I was thinking Statue of Liberty. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's still. I think that's
a thing.
That's a bowl.
Yeah, that totally is a thing.
But it's like Liberty Mutual Bowl, I think, not the Liberty Bowl.
Everything's sponsored, but it just bothers me
Liberty
because
Mutual
I just
Capital One Visa Mastercard Bowl.
Great bowl. Great 2, 6, and 6 teams playing in that game.
Oh
sure.
God, one of them probably Arizona.
But just as I'm saying how dope of an idea that is, it's saying how there would be a cap on those number of games and it'd be alternating years. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate the odd even home and away thing. Is also that's
it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
it really is.
That's bad.
The last thing about this, I think Russell Wilson touched on this. We're kind of making it seem like that the deal is expiring now,
like immediately. Yeah, there's such an immediate effect.
Why are we rushing on this?
Exactly.
It's such an important thing. We can literally wait till this time next year.
Well, like it's funny because the owners are obviously rushing because they just want to get it passed as soon as possible. Yeah. And it's funny how like the news earlier in the week was the owners signed off on the deal, and then you had the executive players thing was just like no wait like disagree on the vote, and now the players all are gonna like
because they redid it
right.
And some of the redoing is like.
Because pretty much the owners don't want the players or people in charge to read what's in the deal. They don't want to act. They don't want them to actually realize how badly they're getting screwed over. That's pretty much it. So now these guys are like, wait, we're actually getting really badly screwed over. See, we can get more. And like that's what's happening.
But they did ratify a couple of things. Like, did you hear the thing about how like the original deal that people who are currently under contract would only get a maximum of $250,000 for their 17th game instead of an equal game check?
Yeah, that's so shady.
It's like
that's like me negotiating with my boss for a raise. Just like, can we just
ever get in contact with her? Did you ever get in contact with her?
I have spoken with her, but like completely separate from the raise. Just like because she was just like in and out and like had to go. I'm just greedy. Like I want to kill her.
She's a greedy owner.
not actually, but like she's
didn't actually just threaten her.
No, but like
okay.
No, but like she makes me frustrated. Been asking for over a month.
Yeah, well, maybe you don't deserve it.
How dare you? All my superiors said I did.
Let's just not rush let's just not rush this and not ruin football too. Like a lot of these other sports seem to be getting ruined.
Honestly, this stuff's going to happen. It's going to happen in our lifetime. Baseball's going to change stuff up. Basketball's going to change stuff up.
Baseball's already changing. The 3 batter minimum rule.
Yeah, that's
speaking of baseball.
Crazy. Speaking of baseball.
In the 2 weeks that we were off, the sign stealing scandal did die down a little bit. Like I said,
cooling off
for now.
It's cooling off until regular season baseball starts.
To kind of just touch on that, MLB and the MLBPA need to figure out a way that they can stop being enemies and work together to save baseball.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's not in a good place right now, I don't think. I think the ratings would say that. And regardless of what you want to say about all publicity is good publicity, this is not good publicity for the game. The last thing that you want are people doubting what they're seeing on the screen is legitimate.
People who don't follow baseball are commenting saying, I feel like whenever I hear about baseball, it's because of something bad that's happening with baseball.
And like I'll touch on for grind my gears, people also commenting on this baseball story and being like, can someone explain to me? I don't know what's going on. Because it's not even like in the news cycle.
Exactly. And that goes to show how people don't really care about baseball.
Yeah. I would just like to say that I think it's crazy how the players that are going to get upset and retaliate in the end are going to get in more trouble than the people who actually did do the cheating.
Hopefully not. I really hope that it's not as bad as we think it's going to be.
Regardless, if one pitcher gets suspended for one start, what I said is already true.
Yeah,
because
it's going to happen.
Sort of suspension is more than what
it's going to happen, which is really unfortunate because that's my biggest beef with baseball this week. Is that what I was thinking is how the umpires already get it wrong half the time, anyways. So how are you?
That was very kind of you. That was only half the time.
Yeah, so the umpires already get it wrong like half the time, anyways. So how isn't? I get in some situations you can obviously tell when a pitcher's throwing at a batter, but in some situations it's just it might be an 0-2 count in a 1-run game in like the 6th inning. It's like and Altuve gets hit and the guy gets tossed and he's suspended for a week. And it's just like, how do you know in that situation he's actually trying to throw at the guy and you don't? And that's the thing. You actually don't know. And it's really hard to discipline that. And it's not fair because guys just get hit on accident sometimes, and you're not going to know if that's on purpose or not. It's just sometimes the pitcher makes a bad pitch. Like, what if he's trying to throw an inside curveball?
That's the whole thing, too, because Manfred's saying we're going to get extra protection for these players. So you're basically saying that pitchers can't pitch like high and tight anymore?
Exactly. And that's a huge
giving them
problem.
another advantage as a hitter?
Exactly. That's really been my whole problem with the scandal this week. It's not necessarily what has gone on in the past, but it's like what's going to happen in the future. How do you like discipline this? It's like it's just so unfair because I actually like how the players discipline themselves. As someone who played baseball, just sort of like there
to a certain degree.
There are unwritten rules in baseball, and there are some things you shouldn't do and some things you should do. And it's just when a guy's showboating or hot dogging,
there's not a damn thing wrong with that. No, you don't. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You can throw it at him.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
That's the dumbest thing ever. So we're trying to make the game fun.
Yeah, no.
We're trying to make the game fun. If someone hits a home run and they should be able to celebrate.
No.
And if they do celebrate, they're going to get a fastball.
I'm saying
to the
like if you show up the pitcher, then you can throw it at him.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I kind of like that.
So players can't be happy for doing something positive.
I mean, you can, but just do it in the dugout and don't be a dick about it.
Who cares?
Just don't be a dick about it.
It's not being a dick. It's called competitive sports.
Dude, I don't know. It's sort of like baseball. It's just like you're not supposed to walk in front of the pitcher's mouth.
God, this is why baseball is failing in the ratings.
This is not why baseball is
failing. It totally is.
That has nothing to do why.
Yeah, it is.
You think they're failing because baseball's not fun enough?
Literally the entire reason everyone thinks baseball is boring and they don't think it's.
But you think it's boring because the players discipline themselves and will sometimes throw at a guy? That makes it exciting because then there's a brawl or something and then they throw back. That makes it fun.
How is it exciting that a player can't express himself?
No, I'm not saying he can't express himself, but if you are saying I'm saying he can express himself, but if a pitcher wants to throw at him and get beaned after, then that should totally be allowed to. And that's just
you're saying that a player can't be happy for hitting a home run, or else he should expect.
There's a way to do it. That's what I'm saying. There's a way to be happy and about hitting a home run rather than be an Acuna and just have a massive bat flip.
Acuna is a little different because
or it's not really. He's just sort of represent. He's the poster boy of.
Acuna's different because he doesn't even hustle. That just pisses me off.
Okay, so but it's sort of that's what it sort of correlates.
If you bat flip, the belt better be over the fence.
That's what it correlates to. It's like you're not supposed to hot dog it in baseball. That's just sort of a thing. You don't really showboat. It's just you
There's
don't
a difference between hot dogging and showboating. You can sprint around the bases with your hand up and be like, yeah, let's fucking go.
In a big situation, sure, at home, maybe, yeah. But if you're just randomly doing it in the 2nd inning and you're just running around being like, oh my God, I just hit a fucking home run. Let's go. It's nobody cares.
Cool. I care if I'm a fan. That's cool. My player hit a home run, but now he might get hit in the wrist by
That's unfortunate, but it's just that's the risk baseball players should know from having played baseball since these guys were 5 years old. That's how it works in high school. That's how it works in college. That's how it works in that's how it's worked since baseball has been played.
Okay, and then and times change. It's not 1876.
Yeah, but you can't just take that out of the game by legislating rules.
Or you could just pitchers should also be able to, when they strike someone out in a savage manner, pump their fists and talk shit.
They already do that.
Okay, so they're allowed to do that, and they don't expect retaliation. The hitter coming and hit him with a bat.
Well, that's completely different than just someone just charging the mound with a bat after being struck out,
or throwing a fastball up near their head.
Throwing at someone's head is always different.
But if
than
you're throwing at
beating
someone, if you're purposely trying to throw at someone, you're trying to injure someone.
Throwing at someone's head is completely different than
What
just
if it gets away and hits him in the head?
Then that's you're a baseball player, you're a pitcher. You should just you hit him in the ass, you hit him in the arm, and
like
just
you said,
hit him in the
sometimes
back.
pitches get away.
Yeah,
from
right.
you.
Sometimes they do, and then you guy gets hit in the head. It's just fuck, you got hit in the head. It's just sorry,
got hit in the head.
fuck, you got hit in the head. He's wearing a helmet,
So we found something that we fundamentally disagree on.
Yeah, I think that there is, because that's what's exciting. The unwritten rules of baseball is what I find exciting. When some guy gets beaned, and then it's just because he was maybe showboating the first baseman or the pitcher or something, maybe he said some shit while rounding the bag and it irks someone. So then he says he says something to his pitcher, and then his pitcher will bean someone on the opposing team, and then the benches get worn. So it's just gets a little testy. Benches are worn. Clubhouse dugouts are a little hot, and then let's say another guy gets hit, and then it's just a brawl. That's fun to watch. I like the brawls, and that's cool. And
there can still be
there
brawls.
needs to be tension though.
There can still be brawls,
But
and you
how
can
without
let
tension? You need
and you
tension.
can the tension could just be from people being. The basis of what I'm saying is you should be allowed to express yourself on the baseball field.
Totally, but don't expect to not get hit after.
Therefore,
That's
you're
all
not
I'm trying to
allowed.
No.
And you're also saying that a pitcher is allowed to showboat because there's no way to get retaliation.
I don't like it when pitchers do that, but they do that in some very rarely, and it's just
Marcus Stroman's pumped for that.
Yeah, well, I feel like
Especially these AL pitchers who don't even get.
That's what I was gonna say. Pitchers don't hit in half the league. So
half of Clemens' career, he's just throwing at everyone
but then
and
you
never
throw
has
at
to step on
someone
the
else
box.
on the team. That's what I was just saying before. You just throw at someone else on the team when the pitcher showboats, and it's just
pitcher showboats, and now I got to step up to the
someone
plate
else
and take a
someone
fastball
else gets
from you.
hit. Yeah, that's just it's just
baseball is crazy.
yeah. I don't know. It's cool, but I sure love a hot dog at a baseball game.
Yeah, I like hot dogs.
I like a hot dog and a nice $13 Bud Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell were we even talking about?
Baseball.
You know what? Speaking of that, why don't I just play this? This was Jose Altuve's.
Against the Mets?
Yeah, I guess this was the Mets.
Yeah.
It was his first plate appearance, and this is what it sounded like when he got inducted.
Inducted into playing baseball.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Altuve.
Introduced as for his first plate appearance.
Second, the second baseman, number 27, Jose Altuve.
So that's just for his first spring training game and down in Florida.
It's funny
Imagine what
'cause-
this is going to be like when the season starts.
I was going to say, because if spring training games weren't actually a family affair, someone would totally be yelling, fuck you, Altuve.
Yeah.
Did
you see the one where Altuve was signing autographs for kids and some guy's coming? He's like, yo, Altuve, where's that tattoo? Let me see that tattoo.
That's amazing. That's so funny. Oh, my God.
So the other thing about the sign stealing, did you hear about the fans that brought in signs?
I did, and they got confiscated.
Here's how bad the Astros PR is. So those fans bring in signs.
With an asterisk?
Yeah, and they're just...
It's goofy.
they're fans.
It's goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's goofy.
So they have the people in the stadium steal the signs.
Yeah, no.
So now the headline is Astros steal signs again.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Right.
Be more tone deaf. Just what's the big deal? Everyone knows. Just let them have their sign here.
That's
now
so
you're just trying even more bad publicity by removing the signs.
Some guy thought of a clever headline. That's good.
I thought of that. But
Well, that was you? Very nice.
I thought of that.
Astros steal signs?
Again.
Yeah.
Because they did.
Yeah,
Someone
that's good.
probably wrote it too. But
Yeah, that's very good.
I just thought of it. And you know what? And also, when are the Red Sox going to get punished?
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
when's that happening? It's ridiculous.
Every week, it's going to be next week.
Hopefully they just don't get punished at all. Everyone just forgets
Okay,
about this. I feel like that's Manfred's
Meant to
best
say
case
this
scenario.
last week. Meant to say this last week. Whatever happened to the Patriots getting punished for the taping the Bengals sidelines?
Oh, yeah, right. What's up with that?
Everyone completely forgot about that.
Isn't it
Schefter
great?
came out and said, yeah, you know what? Next week, it sounds like they're going to get a punishment. But it's like, all right, playoffs, Super Bowl. Oh, totally forgot. But Brady's a free agent. Totally. Everyone completely forgot that happened.
Amazing.
Completely
man.
forgot. And I guarantee you the way that people forget about things, that when you think about the Patriots, you're just going to think about Spygate in early 2000s and Deflategate. No one's going to probably even remember.
Nah,
that
people will forget about this. This wasn't that big. Even though there was actually a hilarious video to go along with this one, but it just
We talked about that earlier.
yeah, I guess it just never got as much traction as we assumed it would.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing with baseball, to fix at least the sign stealing stuff, they need to get rid of this technology easily accessible technology in the dugouts and like back rooms and bullpen
So
area.
no technology.
Like this all started with the live replay television, because then they started because when you get a live TV that you can rewind and everything, now you can, it just sets people up, classic human greed, to just abuse it.
Right.
Just get rid of those TVs and all this live technology, and then you can't be doing this live instant replay cheating, and we can get back to just normal old-fashioned
Cheating.
second base.
Yeah,
like,
old-fashioned cheating.
Yeah.
Just sticking a telescope in center field kind of cheating.
At least, okay, I got it. I got what you're saying.
Just like people are still going to find a way to cheat as hard as they can.
Okay, but
it's just better. It's lesser cheating than now, so it's okay.
And that kind of goes into like, yes, everyone does push the envelope. This whole thing would have died down. I meant to say this last week when it was really hot. This whole thing would have died down so much more if an original press conference, the Astros and Jim Crane just came out and said, you know, we did do this. We did push the envelope. Like, we definitely crossed the line. Like, we take full responsibility and we're going to move forward.
Right.
It would acknowledge that, like,
there's some wrongdoing.
There are some wrongdoing. We went over the line, but also acknowledges that other teams do push the envelope, but we're sorry. But instead, they totally doubled down and didn't even think it was a big deal.
Right.
But, and just because we do want to talk about some New York baseball here.
How about them Yankees?
Yeah, the Yankees injury bug over the last couple seasons is unbelievable. If you don't remember, going into last season, the Yankees locked up Luis Severino to a 4-year, $40 million contract, and they locked up Aaron Hicks to a 7-year contract to play center field. Both of those guys are now getting Tommy John surgery. Hicks has barely played. He's going to be out for an extended period of time into this season. Severino is not going to be back well into the 2021 season. By the time he finally comes back, he will be almost 2.5 years into a 4-year, $40 million deal and will have pitched 12 innings, and not counting a couple of postseason starts. If the Mets signed people to these kind of contracts and they didn't play, people would be absolutely losing their mind in hilarious fashion. Granted,
Yankees have a lot of depth.
yeah, I was going to say, granted, the Yankees are going to be fine. Is their ceiling for whatever amount of wins that we thought they were going to have potentially lower? Yes. And I think the Dodgers actually became the betting favorite now. But for the most part, it would still be a complete shock if they didn't win the AL East. I mean, I think the Rays are very good. And the more I think about it, the Red Sox will be contenders.
They will attempt to compete.
They're going to compete.
And hopefully
I don't think
they succeed.
They're not that bad. But as I look at the rest of the AL, the Astros are obviously extremely talented.
I mean, will
but
the Angels take the next step?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Okay.
But
just a
are
thought.
they going to win? Are they going to win the division?
That's the next
No
step.
way. The next step is make the playoffs.
Yeah, but just winning the division's cool.
And the Twins, they won 100 games last year, and they signed Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, but they're the Twins. They're the Twins.
So I don't think the Yankees are that much trouble. I think it's going to be another one of those seasons where, first of all, who knows what more injuries could be happening. You got Giancarlo Stanton with another calf strain. He can't stay healthy the past year. It's going to come down to them being able to make it through the regular season healthy enough to compete in the playoffs, as I really think.
I feel like going into this year, the American League is almost like the Eastern Conference for basketball, where well, you have the teams where you know they're going to be good, and even out of the teams that are going to be good, there's only one team that's really, really, really good, and that's like the Yankees. You know, the Yankees are the team from the American League where if they're not in the World Series, then something went wrong.
It's funny too because the Astros are like that, but this whole scandal is totally overshadowing them, and who knows how they're going to be able to mentally get through that.
I'm expecting them to
because
not
fuck
make
analytics.
Right.
Think
Also,
about,
also, now that they're not cheating, I wonder if they're going to be good.
They win 50 games. That'd be so fun.
No, seriously, I wonder if they're going to be as good.
Dude, look at their
I have no idea.
in front of me. Look at their numbers in terms of strikeouts and on base percentage from 2016 to 2017. It's staggering.
Yeah. They that's what people were saying. They made a huge jump transformation from perennial loser to perennial winner. But so I think you do have the Astros, but I'm almost not even really considering them because I think this if they do win it all, that would be incredible. Wow, that would horrendous for baseball, but what a sports story.
Yeah.
And like we said, we have the Twins, so it's like, are the Twins really going to get to the World Series and beat the Yankees and compete? No.
Well, last year
maybe.
they also won 100 games and they got swept.
Right. That's
so
exactly what I'm saying.
quickly.
It's like no, but maybe.
But every
And
season's
then-
different.
Yeah, every season's different, and there will be like 1 or 2 American League teams that no one thought would be good that are going to be good and will compete.
Watch the White Sox this year.
Exactly. The White Sox, there might be a team that no one's talking about. That happens every year. So maybe they'll be good, but are they going to beat the Yankees and really have a magical year? Maybe, but it's unlikely. But the National League, I think, is so much fun.
Yeah.
Because it's really just the Dodgers. And then I think it's just so wide open. There's a lot of really good teams.
Be interesting to see how if the Brewers can get back to where they were 2 years ago.
The Brewers, like the Padres, are they going to take the next jump?
I doubt it.
Probably.
You know,
Like the Diamondbacks got Bumgarner.
I just don't see. Again, it being in the NL West, like
Right. Just you got the Dodgers. It's tough, but like also like the NL East is also super fun, excluding the
I thought
Marlins.
the Phillies are going to be better than people are saying.
That's
they're gonna
exactly
be.
the Phillies. Are they going to be good?
People are their over unders like not high.
The Nationals will definitely probably regress just because it's so hard to just be good so consistently.
Well, it's also about what do you mean by regress? I mean they were a wild card team.
Yeah, I
so-
know, but like maybe they won't be as competitive as they were, even though they weren't really as competitive the entire. I don't know, but like just the NL is fun. Like the Cubs, the Cardinals are always like the Pirates. Maybe I don't know.
Pirates are pretty bad.
They're pretty bad, but they try
All right.
hard.
We have a lot of time to talk about baseball. I promised this in the beginning of the show, so I do want to get through this because we're already pushing the envelope here.
Talk about some basketball.
We haven't talked about a lot of basketball. Obviously, we're both Celtics fans, so I just want to quickly run through the standings here. And what it comes down to for basketball is the regular season is what it is, especially right now. I used to love regular season basketball. It's gotten to the point for me where it's harder to watch for me.
Well, it's on every night.
Well, not even that. It's just like the games don't nearly mean as much when
Right.
more than 50%
And
of the
the
league
quality
makes
of
the playoffs.
game is just
It's
so
gotten-
gone
it's
down.
It's not great. Doesn't mean you still don't love the sport.
Right.
And not going to be locked in when the playoffs start. So as we're now past the All-Star break, I just wanted to take a look at the standings for each conference. And what it's all about is, are you a contender or are you a pretender?
Like, do they have a shot to win the
It's
finals?
really what it is.
Yeah,
So-
do they actually have a shot?
Milwaukee Bucks right now are historically having one of the best starts ever. Literally,
Right.
like top 3, or like, I think the third best start through 58 games. They're at 50-8 right now.
So,
Clear contender.
dude, you think so? You really?
I do think that they're going to end up winning the conference.
I'll agree with
Especially because last year they were up. Bucks were up
contender.
2-0 in the conference final last year,
Right.
And ended up losing in 6.
Let it slip away.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna.
All right, moving
Make it
on. The Raptors are the 2 seed right now. I actually think the Raptors are a contender.
Yeah.
Because they are
I mean,
playing.
they're 42-16.
They were playing really
They're
well.
playing really well.
They're
They had
playing
that,
really
like,
well this
15-game win
year.
streak.
Everyone thought they were going to be trash this year.
Yeah.
They're playing really well this year. They have
They're number
so
2.
many. They have so many guys who have like valuable NBA playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
They literally just won a chip. These guys are just as hungry, if not more hungry, than they were a year ago. I feel like they want to prove everyone wrong
Pascal
that they can
Siakam
do it without Kawhi. I think they're a contender.
Fun stat for you: Serge Ibaka on the Raptors. So obviously, over the past decade, LeBron James has the most wins by any NBA player. Serge Ibaka has the second most wins for any NBA player over the last decade.
Good for him. I
Yeah.
like Serge.
Yeah.
He's sick. So I
okay,
do think the
they're a contender.
Raptors
They're
are a
definitely a
contender.
contender.
I actually do think they can push it.
3 seed Celtics right now, 41-16.
We are hot.
We are playing so
hot.
well right now.
We are good. The team is so fun to watch.
Such
we got
a
a good
contender
team.
right now.
Got
I
a
think
good
Jason
team.
Tatum's the best player on the team. Kemba's more of a closer at this point. Jason Tatum
Yeah.
is such a complete player right now. It's awesome.
We have a really good team.
Fleeced the 76ers so badly with that trade in the draft that I still will never get over how funny that is.
And the Lakers fucked up too.
And it's because you knew they were taking ball all along.
Man, how funny is that? The VAR ball convinced the Lakers to
Pretty
draft
much.
Lonzo so we could get Tatum.
Pretty much. So the Heat, not playing great ball right now.
You know,
they lost.
I don't think the Heat are a contender. Like a real serious finals winning contender, I don't think the Heat are an actual contender.
I don't think they're a contender either.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're just too young and they
I
have
don't like Jimmy Butler. He's a good player. I don't like his attitude.
I like Jimmy Butler. I just think the team is not playoff experienced.
We got Eric Spoelstra.
Sure,
Pretty
he's good, but like the team itself, it's pretty much Jimmy Butler and then like
Goran Dragic.
yeah, but like has he ever been there in the Suns? Like when he like
He's with the Heat a little bit. But
okay, but like you know what I mean? Like they
obviously no deep playoff
like
friends.
like Bam is having his breakout year.
Derek Jones is like
So
the
like
dunk.
these guys are just kind of like, but so I don't think they can stack against any 3 teams above them. I think we
All
beat
right,
them
so
in the
then
series.
that gets to the 76ers.
I think they're not a contender either.
They're such pretenders. It's hilarious.
It's
Look, if you look at this
Brett
right
Brown
now,
is such a clown.
they're 27-2 at home. They're 9-21 on the road.
Yeah, people
That
keep
is
saying that.
so bad. As I'm looking, the only teams that have comparable road records are the worst teams in the league.
Right.
And that just shows that they're not a mentally tough team and they're not ready for the big time.
Yeah, no. Oh,
Especially
for sure.
now that Simmons is hurt and Embiid got hurt last night.
He did get hurt. So
Total pretender.
I also think the Pacers are. I think the Pacers are sneaky, but they're not an actual contender.
They're sneaky, but not a contender.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that the Bucks, Raptors, or Celtics would actually have to watch out for, but they're not a finals contender. They're more like an Eastern Conference top team.
They're a
contender.
classic second round treadmill team.
Yeah.
Look how bad the Eastern Conference is.
Yeah, we don't.
The
we can,
7 seed Nets are 26-31, and the 8 seed Magic are in the playoffs right now at 26-32.
Yeah, good lord.
This is what we're talking about playoff expansion. That's horrendous. Why are they in? Why is that a playoff team? That's such a joke. Like the Bucks Magic first round series is going to be a joke, assuming that's what it ends up being.
I mean, Bradley Beal's probably going to will the Wizards into the playoffs.
Probably not. They're horrible. They're 21-36.
They can win like 3 games.
Let's
that'll help.
just go to the West.
Yeah.
Lakers obviously
they're for
contender.
real.
I think this is an interesting
The
one.
Nuggets. Do you, right? It is.
I was
tough.
thinking about this the other day.
I think they're a pretender.
That's disrespectful.
It is. But do you really think the Nuggets are going to beat
If
the
they have
Lakers? or
okay,
the
if the
Clippers?
standings are as is, and they have home court against the Clippers, who keep in mind, obviously, I'm a big proponent of every season different. The Clippers, as a franchise, have never even made a conference final. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say they're a contender.
They should.
I think they could knock off either of those teams.
The Nuggets should be able to do that, but do I actually? Would I put money on it? No.
No, I'm not putting money on
No. So
anything.
I don't think they're a serious contender, even though I think they can contend.
Clippers obviously would.
Clippers are definitely a contender. I think the Rockets are, for once, a contender.
I think they're more of a pretender now than they've ever been.
You think so? I think by doubling down on small ball.
I think that's why they're a joke. You like it?
No, I don't like it, but I
Okay.
think like we're gonna see if it works or not.
Yeah,
like
we are
we're gonna.
gonna
That's
see.
why I think they're a contender.
Okay, right now-
I think we're gonna. Also, this is the first time where Russ and West are gonna be like on the same team in the playoffs.
Russ and Harden.
Sorry, yeah, Russ and Harden, and
Actually, not the first time they're going to be on
oh
the
my
same
god,
team in
that's
the
so
playoffs.
funny. That's so funny. That's so weird. That's so weird. That's
was
hilarious.
funny.
That was funny. Man, imagine like being the Thunder's GM hearing that. Just like
They
ooh.
picked Serge Ibaka over Harden. Essentially, what happened?
Ooh, ouch.
But,
yeah, I don't know. I do think the Rockets, by doubling down, they're gonna.
They're a pretender. Harden's mentally weak.
I don't. He
Westbrook
is mentally weak. Is
I
unstable.
love Westbrook, but he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, he's totally unstable. But he plays unstable.
Have
He's so
fun
violent.
with PJ Tucker guarding Jokic and Anthony Davis.
You know,
in a
I
7-game
don't
series.
think the Rockets are a serious. I put the Rockets in the same category as like the Nuggets, a contender, but not a serious contender. Like I think the only
Here's a yeah.
like I think the only 2 really serious contenders in the West are the Lakers and Clippers, and then like S tier, you know, Lakers, Clippers, A tier, Nuggets,
Alright.
Rockets, and then like B tier would be like
Well, I was going to say
Thunder, Jazz, Mavericks.
Thunder are easily the biggest surprise team in basketball.
Yeah, they're a
right
big
now.
sleeper.
They're 36-22. I thought they were going to. First of all,
Chris Paul, I like
I
Chris
thought
Paul.
Chris Paul was going to be a Laker by December.
Right, and he's
And I was totally wrong about that. He's totally bought in.
good for
They have a
him.
good team.
Honestly,
They have
good
a
for
good
him
team.
because I think when everyone heard about that trade, people felt so sorry for Chris Paul.
I thought he was. I thought he was going to play. I thought he was going to pull an Iguodala and play
right,
no games.
exactly. I think most people
Yeah.
did too, and he was just not going to play. But he bought in and he said, "I'm going to help the young bloods out."
Yeah, and they have
it's-
a lot of good talent.
It really is going to help his resume and
Not like it matters.
No, but like his reputation just amongst the NBA community. Not like it matters, like you're saying. but
Rondo's
it's-
still never going to.
Yeah, I was going to say like, I don't like Chris Paul because Rondo doesn't like Chris Paul.
What about Utah? We just beat him up last night.
Yeah, Utah. You know they're not.
I think they're more of a contender than Houston. I don't like Houston. I think I like Mitchell. Bogdanovich.
Bogdanovich is sick.
He can play.
You know, maybe.
Bogdanovich and them boys. You know,
Maybe.
Ingles, but I don't know. I'm just naming players like
Maybe.
Stephen A.
I think the Mavericks are a sleeper because I think Luka is dirty.
I mean, he is, but they're not. They're gonna lose in the first round.
No, I know. Well, maybe. We'll see.
And then there's a clear drop off to the 8th
I
seed.
feel like the
again.
Mavericks could beat the Nuggets. Like Luka.
See, that's disrespectful of the Nuggets. They're a really good team.
they
Like,
are a good team, but
just like there's more to the team than Luka.
No, I get that, but like I just like in basketball, one guy can just kind of take over a game if he has to.
I know, but I don't know. I think the Nuggets are more talented. But then look at the drop off.
They are. No, they are. Yeah, the drop off's pretty serious.
Now you got another under 500
I am pumped.
team.
I would be. The Grizzlies are a good young team. They are a good young team, but they're nowhere near a contender for to winning a chip.
Look at the Blazers are sitting on the outside.
I'm just pumped
right
to see Ja Morant in the playoffs. That's why I want the Grizzlies. I like Ja. Ja's sick. He's fun to watch.
Sick. He's gonna be rookie of the year.
Yeah, I don't like people saying Zion's gonna be rookie of the year.
Although he's playing about as well as he possibly could.
Yeah, but Ja Morant's playing like insanely well too, and he's been doing it all year. So it's just like, how can you just if Zion gets the award, then if I'm Ja Morant, you know what? I want Zion to get the award. I want him to get the award, so Ja Morant comes into next season so pissed off and hungry.
Yeah,
he would be so ruthless playing basketball. He would play angry every night if he didn't
does already because he's a savage.
Right, but like imagine how much more ruthless he would be on the court. I feel like he would almost turn into like the new Westbrook.
Well, people
like
that
without
was
the
his
shitty
comparison
attitude
anyway.
Yeah, without like the shitty attitude. He's a nice kid.
Finals prediction right now.
Finals prediction now. Well,
quick.
Like a winner.
Yeah, just winner over who?
Okay,
quick.
Let's do Lakers over the Bucks.
Both 1 seeds.
Yes, in.
Don't have all day here.
6.
Okay, nice. Bucks over Clippers in 5.
Okay,
that's my prediction.
That's just shitty finals. If that actually is it,
that's
in 5, that's trash.
Bucks over Clippers.
That's not
5.
competitive at all. I don't want it to be that. It was 6. Then it's competitive. Like 6 is at least competitive.
Dude, 2015 World Series. That's a competitive 5-game series right there. But
no. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fun to talk about basketball.
It is. I at the same time, I feel like you put me on the spot. It's way too early to do this. Like, let me wait for the playoffs to actually start to make like my real finals prediction.
That's why I put you on the spot.
Yeah, like this was my preseason finals prediction, like the warm up reps. You get that one practice swing, but yeah.
All right, so as we're nearing the end of the show, we're gonna have to do our segment that we always do, weekly. What grinds our gears? As you can tell, a lot of stuff does grind our gears. Kyle, do you have something that grinds your gears this week?
Yeah, I did have something that grinds my gears this week.
You know what really grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears this week?
Nothing in particular actually bothered me super hard this week, but David Ortiz's comments about the Astros cheating scandal and what Mike Fiers did irk me a bit. I felt that as David Ortiz is a quote-unquote known steroid user.
Anonymously known.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, so it's just you should keep your mouth shut when commenting on this because what you're saying is damaging and not helpful in any way for any party involved. So what he pretty much said was he just called out Mike Fiers, saying that he was a rat, he was a cheat. Pretty much Pedro said the same thing a couple of weeks before too.
Of course he would, but basically saying like, of course you're gonna rat on them after you get your
after
money
you sold
and win the
out.
title.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's probably the last thing baseball wants right now. That's why it kind of bothered me.
And it's also, at least he come out and said something eventually. No one else did anything.
Right. It's just like, come on.
And like I've been saying, you can't be mad about people cheating if you're going to also be mad about the person who brought the cheating to light.
Right.
No one else had the balls to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's up with you this week?
What's up? I have something that really grinds my gears.
Here we go.
All right.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Tell me about it.
As I opened the curtain and did not get the job at ESPN this morning, actually, after 4.5 months of waiting, I can now go off on ESPN as much as I want, even though I still want to work there in a certain degree and still want to work for ESPN Radio in New York. But
you want to work for them because you want to make them better.
Yeah, and their money's tool. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna say I more so love ESPN New York radio. ESPN in general right now. Do you know that ESPN has baseball games, Sunday night baseball and Wednesday night baseball?
I look forward to it.
Right?
As a baseball fan.
That's a huge part of ESPN, and baseball's struggling for ratings, and they need people to watch baseball on ESPN. Those games are supposed to be their marquee matchups, and we're promoting the sport of baseball on ESPN. People need to be watching baseball. ESPN does absolutely nothing to promote baseball at all. If you look at their social media, particularly the SportsCenter social media, or SportsCenter Instagram and ESPN Instagram, they literally act like baseball does not exist at all. SportsCenter hired this dude named Omar, who was from House of Highlights, and he runs their SportsCenter page now. And all they post about are just random things that are somewhat athletic or just all about basketball. And virtually no in between. As right before we started this, open Instagram. Oh, what does SportsCenter have on Instagram? Some dude going down a ramp on a couch. How is that?
Humorous, but not sports. Not
Make
national
a different
sports.
page
Right,
for
yeah.
it if you want to post that stuff.
Feel ya.
ESPN, and particularly the ESPN Sports Center, they never talk about baseball. If you go back and look at Instagram during the World Series, they weren't even posting about it, but they were talking about like some stupid shit that Zion did or some irrelevant basketball stuff that really doesn't matter. And
of course,
they do
dude.
absolutely nothing to promote baseball, yet they have a huge contract with baseball to air it on their station. So then when they occasionally do talk about baseball, they occasionally do post about baseball, all the comments are people saying, baseball isn't a sport. Why are you posting about baseball? I don't care about baseball, or I don't know anything about baseball. Media has such an ability to control what people know. If they were to start posting about baseball more and showing the dope things that happen in the game and force feeding it, people would eventually again start to be more interested in it. Why would someone who doesn't see anything positive about baseball, because face it, most people get their news from social media, especially like the young generation who's what we're trying to get to watch baseball, if they don't see anything about baseball on social media, why would they then watch baseball on ESPN? The ratings are probably going to be terrible. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get what direction ESPN is trying to go in. They want to be all about basketball and football and basically nothing else. All of their talk shows, it's football, basketball, and like boxing.
And then the worst is when they do talk about baseball.
And then they don't know what the hell they're talking
They'll have
about.
3 former football players and a basketball player talk about baseball.
I don't
it's
need
just
to
like,
hear
thanks,
Stephen.
Jalen Rose.
I don't need to hear Stephen A. Smith talk about baseball. The dude has no idea what he's talking about.
Because I need to listen
baseball.
to Jay Williams, Jalen Rose, and Mike Greenberg.
Yeah.
I do like Greeny talking about baseball.
Greeny's qualified.
fine. Yeah, Greeny's qualified. But like just everyone he has at the table, Dan Orlovsky talking about baseball.
He was on the Michael K show. They were talking about him wanting to get, or like what he does, like he's want to get into coaching and talking about being competitive. He said that what he's been doing to stay competitive is he's been playing pickup basketball at the YMCA in Westport, Connecticut.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he did say that.
Wait, can we join the league immediately?
I actually played ball. I didn't play with him, but I saw Mike Greenberg playing basketball at the Y like 10 years ago. But
dude, we should ball with Dan Orlovsky and kick his ass.
I'm down. He was trash at
we would
UConn.
run
He's
train.
He's all right at UConn. But regardless, grinds my gears. It's just I don't understand ESPN and a lot of other major sports markets that are just punting on baseball, but then still expecting to have ratings when they play baseball on their station. They do absolutely nothing. I've been repeating myself, but they don't promote it at all, and then they'll have it on TV.
And the worst part about the funniest oxymoron about this whole situation with primetime baseball and ESPN is that because baseball is such a regional sport, if your team is on ESPN, you're usually pissed off because you want to listen to your guys. Right. So like think of it that way, where like if the Cardinals are playing and you're a Cardinals fan, you want to hear your Cardinal guys rather than like opposed to like the ESPN crew. So as a fan of your team, you're not even going to watch your team because you don't like the crew there. How funny is that? How like
great point.
It's just like you want to watch the Mets because you love the crew, but you're not going to watch them on Wednesday because, you know, it's just like it's Jessica fucking Mendoza and A-Rod talking. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, but she
works for the Mets, right?
She's also gone.
She's also good. And like, it's just like, not saying she's like horrendous, but it's just
I didn't mind her, but
the whole crew is just didn't work.
Also, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. I'm in the moment. I want to look
Here
it up.
we go.
I know I should like research this.
We don't have a Jamie. It's fine.
But I'm doing this myself here. I'm just blanking on it. The guy who did play-by-play for Sunday Night Baseball last year, I think it might have been Matt Verskirchen. Like during the Dodgers like Red Sox game in particular last year, all he was doing was complaining about how long the game was, how boring the game was, and how they need to help then make it less boring. You're the announcer. Make it less boring.
Right.
Like this is a dope game in extra innings. It just bothers me. Like your own people are putting it down when it's on TV.
They have such a bad broadcasting crew, and that's what sucks because you watch baseball for more than the game.
Yeah.
Like the crew makes the game. Like back in the day, man, you had all these legendary baseball announcers, legendary guys that you watched the game because you enjoyed listening to what they had to say about the game and just what they had to say in general. Because when you're listening to a baseball game, there's so much dead air where you just talk about other things that aren't baseball. And it's okay to do that because
or
there's 162
other things about baseball that aren't particularly about what's going on.
Sure, but you can also just like get off topic for a second because there's 162 games a year, and you can't just
7-1 on the 8th.
Right, and you can't just be talking about baseball all the time. So you want to talk about like the food that's like some kids eating in the stadium or something funny. Like you gotta think of something good, and the announcers have a big responsibility to make the games more fun for the fan, as you were saying. So
and like you're saying too about like watching your home broadcast, the worst part too is like Sunday Night Baseball. If it's on Sunday Night Baseball, the game will not be on SNY.
Yeah, that's the worst. So like your local channel won't get it.
The biggest thing last year, so this is Fox, when Pete Alonso broke the home run record, hit his 53rd home run.
Yeah. Oh, you're so heated about this.
The game was exclusively on Fox,
So heated.
and like it basically might as well have never happened.
It ruined the call for you.
I've like never really watched the replay, and when they promote it, all they do is all the call that you hear is Gary Cohen calling number 52, because that's the one that only matters.
Yeah.
I don't even know who did the game. It's like
They should probably just put like a Howard radio guy on like the call for Alonso.
I've heard it.
They should do that,
but
just
still,
to
it's not.
promote it.
It's still not the same.
I think his last name's Howard. I'm pissed. I'm forgetting the radio guy's name because he's great.
It's Howie Rose.
Howie Rose. I knew there was a Howard.
I was thinking
somewhere in there.
of your fucking.
He's great.
I was thinking of the Eagles guy.
Merle Reese.
No, Howie Roseman.
Howie Roseman.
That's what I was thinking in my head.
For sure. That's funny. He's our GM. Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Going
yeah.
a little bit over here, but just to finish up, did you want to talk about the NHL goalies? Goalie thing.
Yeah, let's just mention that. That was sweet.
Your thoughts?
That's, I think, the dopest sports story of the year.
And what exactly was it again?
So an NHL game took place between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I am not a hockey fan, so I'm not going to know why any of this was a rule, or why this even happened, or why this was even able to happen in the first place. But apparently, according to the rules, if both of your goalies on the roster get hurt, there is a neutral goalie that either team can use in the event of an emergency.
Yeah, designated stadium goalie.
It's like an on-site goalie, right? That can play for either team, which is super cool. So this guy had to come into the game for the Carolina Hurricanes and play. His name is David Ayres. And he's just some goofy, funny Canadian guy.
42-year-old
Canadian guy.
Kidney removed 10 years ago.
He played junior hockey in Canada, junior professional hockey in Canada when he was younger. So he's obviously a hockey player, but he's not a young professional hockey player. So he comes into the game, and I think that was just so cool, man. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. Imagine you're just some guy, and you just got to go play a professional game right now. I think that's a kid's dream. That is so sweet.
So he allowed 2 goals on his first 2 shots, but then there was only 8 shots the rest of the game that I guess he saved.
He saved a couple, yeah. It's sick. That's so cool.
They were up 4-1 when he came in the game. It was 4-3, and then they ended up winning 6-3. My take on this is,
you hate it.
How is this even remotely a thing? And
it's
like
so
I said,
cool.
as this has happened, the NHL GMs are trying to make it not be a thing anymore.
I understand that now. Yeah, they're probably just like, wait, we can't just have some random guy, God forbid,
get hurt. Think of how dangerous that is.
Right?
He's now playing goalie in professional hockey league or National Hockey League. And think about this too. Like, if I'm a diehard fan and like now I have literally some random fan, not fan, but you know what I mean, like. Literally not someone who's
not a professional hockey player.
Now playing goalie for me. And think about it like this. If your top 2 or so quarterbacks went down in the NFL, and instead of putting in your running back, like Brian Mitchell one time.
Your punter.
The body bag game, Brian Mitchell had to play running back or quarterback.
Yeah, he did.
And there was I don't know when this was, a guy, the punter for the Jets had to play quarterback. Instead of that happening, there was like a designated stadium QB.
That punter for the Jets scored 2 touchdowns.
You've seen that video.
Yeah, I have seen that video.
But it's like a designated stadium QB. It's like, no, someone on the active roster has to come in and put goalie pads and play goalie.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
I think that goes to show
how can someone not on the roster just come in the game and play?
I honestly just love it because it's such an archaic rule, and that's sick. That's what we need more in sports. Just like these weird little quirky things that like shouldn't happen, but they do.
Think about this,
and that's
too.
why it's cool.
So he's like designated guys, and this game was...
it was at Toronto.
It was at Toronto, that's right.
The
so think about this. So he's probably a Toronto fan. right? So he
Yeah,
could come in
right.
and throw the game.
Yeah,
He could be
right.
like, oh, I'm not stopping any goals
Right,
here.
right,
and
right.
Let's go Toronto. We need this win.
Is
Like,
technically employed by the Maple Leafs.
that's
Like,
crazy.
yeah.
There's no way that should be allowed at
I
all.
think that's so cool. But the guy did say he grew up a Bruins fan, even though he said like he's worked for the Leafs for
yeah,
a
but
while.
do you get what I
still,
mean?
I
about
do
that?
get
Like,
what
you could
mean,
literally
yeah.
throw the game for your team.
But at that point, it's just like you shouldn't win anyways, or like I don't know, you're in a shitty position. It's so archaic that I love it. It's so
crazy
cool.
how it's a thing. It's
Yeah,
crazy
that's
how
so
it's a thing.
sick.
All right. Not a lot going on this coming week, I don't think, again.
XFL football, big game this week. Dallas against Houston.
PJ Walker, Houston's quarterback, is single-handedly saving the league, in my opinion. This dude is electric.
He's sick. He's making making the league fun to watch and fun to talk about.
In my completely over-exaggerated take, he's half Patrick Mahomes, half Lamar Jackson in XFL form.
It's cool.
He honestly is. He's really good.
But like big game, him against Landry Jones this week.
Yeah.
So that's a big game. This is like
It honestly
this might
is.
be the best game of the whole season potentially.
They might play again. I don't even know how
They
the
probably
freaking schedule
do.
works.
They probably do. They probably did. I'm sure every team plays each other twice. I'm sure that's probably how it works.
So I've actually been into the XFL totally more than I thought I would, mostly because of this dude. But the ratings have declined. So like I said,
That's okay.
Like my last show, we'll see what happens to these ratings every week, especially when it goes up against March Madness and the Masters and things like that, because the ratings are still okay, but they're declining. I'm going to watch when I can, honestly.
I'm gonna go out of my way to watch the Houston Dallas game.
Yeah, that's going to be a really
cool.
fun game.
That will be cool.
So-
I'm about it. Even though the play in some of the games is sloppy at
Dude,
times.
the Guardians are atrocious.
Yes,
I love
they're
it.
really
I
bad.
love it.
Especially because it's New York.
Yeah,
It's like
I know.
they call it the giant bug.
Yeah.
it's just really great. But
Jet and
that does
giant.
happen. It's still at its core. It's fun to see football on Saturday and Sunday. It's just fun to
I
watch.
think they also do a good job at not trying to make it prime time. It's like, oh, it's the
That's-
middle of the day. Like,
I
it's
like
not going
that.
up against
It's-
other
I
stuff.
like that. It's
Yeah.
just nice to have it on during the day. There's 2 games on Saturday. There's 2 on Sunday. You don't have to like watch them both. You can just if one's on while you're just doing
Yeah.
nothing. I like that.
Yeah.
It's nice to just turn a game on.
Yeah.
Especially like Saturday, you're like at a bar with your bros. It's a football game on or something. Like it's nice. It's cool just to watch it.
I think that's about it. I don't know what else is going to happen over the next week, but there's usually enough for us to talk about over an hour, apparently. So we'll
right.
definitely have something to talk about regardless. So.
I'm ready to eat. I'm hungry.
Cool. Well, we got to edit this, so we'll see.
Yay.
All right, Kyle. Once again, and I'll just like to say that hopefully, again, we'll get back into our every week grind here because now we have a much better studio, closer, and we'll be able to reserve it. And we should be able to get on that every week grind and not be missing any more time. So hope you guys are listening. For those of you who are, thank you. We have a lot of fun doing this, and hopefully you tune in again next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Spittin' Facts with Zack.
And Kyle.
Follow Zack on Twitter at SpittinFacts40 and continue listening on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts.